And now, presenting the winner of the Howard L. Green Humanitarian Award, ladies and gentlemen, the angel of the airwaves, Barbara Altman.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you. And we are back. And in this hour, we've been looking forward to visiting with Don Guardian since the press endorsement came out. And everyone was talking about that was on October 20th. So it's very timely. Good morning, Don Guardian. And how did you feel about that? Were you surprised when you saw the endorsement?
Yeah, good morning, Barbara. Always good to be back on the front porch and always glad to be here at News Talk 1400 W.O.N.D. I think I'm more humbled than anything else with the article. I mean, you certainly know that if you're running for office, you certainly want your daily newspaper to be endorsing you. But it was such a very, very kind article and so supportive. As I said, I read it and I just really felt very humble. That's really I was excited and all of that, like anyone. But
the work you've done as director of the Special Improvement Division of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority is visible to just about everyone.
Because of it, we were able to come up with ideas that you may not have done citywide, and that's the type of what we've learned to do better that I want to bring over to the city. And Barbara, technology probably is number one, and the smartphone technology that we have that gives our ambassadors and everyone else that works for us the ability to tap in what's wrong in the tourism district, and that automatically creates a work order. A lot for us, but it also sends it to Public Work, to Code Enforcement, to Mercantile, to Atlantic Electric, wherever the problem is. And the same technology, this smartphone technology with task force that you're doing in the field, was adopted by Baltimore 2 years ago. And they saved $13 million just in the first year. And what it does is, if you're getting this information coming in and it's computerized and you see that trash cans, for instance, overflowing on Atlantic Avenue, you need another pickup on Sundays, if that's when it's overflowing. Or if you have a tree limb down, you know that you have a crew that's already out there, so you're not sending another crew out, you're just following up. So, as I talk to so many members of Mercantile and Code Enforcement, because they're really getting a beating in the city. And certainly we've heard that the governor is threatening to take over those areas. Part of it is that we're just 30, 40 years behind in the technology. There's software and computer systems out there. The code enforcement officers that I know are doing a very credible job, but that they don't even have cars. I mean, when I say they don't have cars, there's three of them that share a car. So they sit at their desk until a car becomes available, or the three of them pile into a truck. Then they don't have the technology for the follow-up. And then somehow it seems these citations get squashed. So, I mean, there's several parts to making it better, but technology is why code enforcement and Mercantile isn't working. One of the reasons. Technology is why people don't want to build in Atlantic City, because the building process is horrendous, and it's just old. It's a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy, and all that goes away with the proper technology to allow you to use electronic information, sending it, placing all your drawings on CAD is what most engineers use, and reducing it to a matter of weeks for all of your permits, not a matter of months or years. And then we know with the police department, they've just been massacred with not getting the funds that they need for the technology. Luckily, the $3.5 million is sitting with CRDA, and I know that City Council just appointed a individual that is going to be determining how those funds are used. But the police department knows. They brought in the Justice Department. It's called IJIS, and they did a report. They spelled out, what our police department needs. I know that members of City Council and our police department went to both East Orange, New Jersey, and I accompanied a group to University City in Philadelphia. And in both cases, they used technology. They brought in the cameras. They have the shot spotter speakers that can detect where shots are coming from. It gives you facial recognition. It gives you license plate recognition. And so it provides the information from Interpol on the international level, through the FBI, through the other federal agencies, through the state troopers, through the county. It makes it available for our police officers. The bottom line is they're able to prevent crime rather than just solve it.
There was something, whether it was a news story or it was one of the news magazines yesterday on television, where they have, in some towns, they have people putting cameras outside their businesses and outside their homes. And if something happens in that neighborhood, that the police can use the footage there. And they have cut the amount of crime considerably. What do you think about something like that?
Yeah,
and giving people the opportunity to put those systems in and work with the police department.
Okay, so without doing anything to hurt our law enforcement agencies, I can tell you that the Atlantic City, the casinos, and the people that have the cameras have all been very cooperative. So that system exists and is tied together. There are dark spots. And that's what we have to work on.
Right.
So,
okay. Now, the caller who called in before and said in 1960 there were 61,642 residents, and now there are 40,000.
I think 38, but certainly under 40,000 residents. So
a lot of reasons for that.
A lot of reasons, and again, I always tell you, Bob, I'll never blame the guy before me and shoes I want to walk in, but I'm just here for the future and saying I'm the best individual to lead the city for the future. So where do we go? Well, it's got to be very exciting seeing what looks like the new development that's on the boardwalk down in Chelsea.
The breakers.
The breakers.
Around
So
Annapolis, Richmond,
and that seems to be that I don't know anything about this project. I just know what I read in the press and hear from Pinky and O.N.D. in general. And here's the point: it seems like a bright company doing this. They're going to build townhouses. As they make a profit from the townhouses, they're going to pour that into a couple of mid-rises. So that's all good. That's what we need. That's going to be I anticipate higher income units. The likelihood that they'll be living here year-round is probably not good. It'll be weekend and summertime. Less services, but it'll be bringing in a lot of taxes. Right. I think when you jump-started with a project like this, it'll encourage other developers as well.
To see the kind of growth and development.
The key, Barbara, I think, is that there's $312 million in FEMA for flood prevention. And then there's another $45 million for the boardwalk repair and rebuilding all the way to Gardner's Basins from Breville. Once you rebuild the Southeast Inlet, then developers are going to say this is the place to be. The boardwalk's here. It's a great beach. It's a great ocean. And the area has been cleared. We're not talking about eminent domain anymore. We're talking about areas that have been cleared and ready for development. So I think that's important, too. I'll stick on housing for a minute, and I'll talk about, what else you need. You have vacant lands that CRDA and the city owns, been sitting there for vacant. You've heard this before. You give away that land, or you charge $1 for it. I'm not talking about whole blocks to developers. I'm talking about 2,000 square feet lots. You bring people in. You said, we'll give it to you, but you got to build in 2 years because you want them to be new residents and you want to have them on the tax rolls. And you have a 5-year residency requirement, primary residency, so they're not just people that are trying to figure out a scam and building and then selling. So that's one part, for housing there. The high end, the same way there. And then we have to work with HUD because it's just not right that Section 8 housing that we have now was built before 1945. It just doesn't meet our needs, and we need to build new housing there as well.
We have Timmy from Venice Park who wants to talk to you, ask you a question or a comment. Good morning, Timmy. You're on with Don Guardian.
Yes, good morning, Barbara. How you doing this morning?
Doing well, thank you. Good to hear your voice.
Yes, good to hear you too. Don, I'm calling in regards to you running for mayor. I got you back 100%. I know you're going to make some changes in this city, which we need desperately. So you got my blessings for the running for the mayor, and I know that you're going to stand up and do a great job for all the citizens of Atlantic City. And we need this change very desperately. And I know you are the man to lead the way. So I'm wishing you the best in luck to become the mayor of Atlantic City and make the changes that need to be done. Thank you very much, and hope the best for you, sir.
Timmy, thank you very much. Keep me in your prayers, and certainly make sure that you come out to vote on November 5th and bring your friends, neighbors, people that you work with at the same time. But yes, indeed, I know that I can make a difference and make a better place for everyone in Atlantic City. Barbara, as I was driving here, I know you're doing a fundraiser
Yes,
for
indeed.
food.
Thank you, Timmy, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I just wanted to comment. You mentioned Monsignor Hodge and
Yes.
St. Nicholas of Tolentine. You know, that's my home church as well. When we were starting to do some of the photos that we needed for the campaign this summer, I was sitting on the steps. If you see some of my campaign literature in your local, you'll recognize it right away. So I'm sitting on the steps of St. Nick's, and a gentleman came by on a bicycle. And he said, "Can I get a couple of bucks for food?" And I said, "No, but 2 blocks away is Sister Jean's kitchen, and they'll be serving lunch in about an hour or so." And he says it's Saturday and they're not open. So he knew what he was talking about. So I said, "Do you want to go over to the mission?" He says, "No, I got beat up. I'm afraid to go to the mission." So I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, because right here, you see this house here? This is the rectory where the pastor lives for this church. His name is Monsignor Hodge. Walk up the stairs, ring the bell, introduce yourself. Do you need food for yourself or just your family too?" And he goes, "No, for my family." So I said, "Tell Monsignor Hodge, and I'm sure that he'll give you a bag of food to take care." And then I left, and we went to other parts of the city. And about an hour later, he comes bicycling by, and on his bicycle, he has a bag of food. And he just found me to say, "I just want to thank you very much." He goes, "You have no idea who I am. You don't know about the problems I've had, and I don't have a good past. But I want to thank you, and I want to thank that priest." And that's just very typical of
right.
Monsignor Hodge. And when I say Monsignor Hodge, he's obviously my pastor, but all of the good people in Atlantic City. You know, as I talk about St. Nick's, I love the work that Reverend Days does over at Second Baptist.
Right.
And although we have a long way to go to helping people get back into their homes that didn't have insurance, or the insurance fell short, or they couldn't get FEMA and things, Reverend Days has put together whole groups of people that are coming and volunteering. And, it's just, thank God for our faith-based organizations in Atlantic City.
Absolutely. That is some powerful story. I mean, and we're supposed to, putting money in your pocket and taking out a couple of dollars doesn't do it. But providing a bag of food, and how grateful that man, and he'll never forget that. And it's sad that he needed the help, but it's wonderful that you were the guardian angel sitting right there. No pun intended. AC, good morning. You're on with the guardian angel of Atlantic City. Good morning.
Good morning, Barbara. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, I just want to tell Mr. Guardian I am supporting him for mayor. I am a long-time Democrat, but I always support the best people for the job. And I do not go for Democrats or Republicans. I go for the individual. And I have supported although I'm a Democrat, I supported President Reagan because I felt he was the best for our country. I support our county executive, also Republican, because I know he is the best for our country. And I just want to make a suggestion. I believe most of the property owners in Atlantic City, because of the high taxes, will support you. But I would like you to meet the people from public housing who goes early in the morning on a bus to the supermarkets. And I know there's a place in Ocean Club. They have the list of the time of all the public housing people who are picked up. And I personally believe you will get these people's support if you meet them. and you can meet them, if it's possible, when they're going on their bus. Usually, some of the locations, they start 8:30 in the morning, and they are taken to Pathmark and ShopRite. And if you were to meet these people as the bus goes from one public housing to another, and they will know what you did in cleaning up Atlantic City and making Atlantic City places where there were parks that were very dirty in Atlantic City. You cleaned them up, you put grass and you put flowers and you put benches, and you did a lot for the people of Atlantic City. And although I am a Democrat, I'm asking my Democratic friends to support you for mayor of Atlantic City because you are the best qualified man, in my opinion, for the job. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I certainly will follow up on your advice. I know that I've had the pleasure of meeting residents at Atlanta.
You must get Democrats like me who will support you because you are the best qualified person for being mayor in Atlantic City. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much. You're absolutely correct.
AC.
Yes. Thank you very much. I do want to say that I can't win without the Democrat and independent support.
Right.
And so far, I've been very, very blessed, both financially and with volunteers, in an outpouring of Democrats and independents that are joining the very small group of Republicans. But I really do believe this. If I could kind of quote Fiorello LaGuardia, they had asked him if he was a Democrat or Republican. And he says, when I fill your pothole or I shovel snow, does it matter whether I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat?
Right.
And I really have the same issue. It's all about doing a very good job.
And indeed. And let's go to Ginny and Absecon again, AC. Thank you very much. He's a very private person. And I'll tell you, the first time I actually saw him in person was there was a rally at Ski Beach in Ventnor, and the vice president was here, and Congressman Hughes was in attendance, and Senator Lautenberg. And when they saw AC, they saw him. They moved the Secret Service out of the way. They removed the barrier fence, and they went right to him in the middle of the crowd.
Wow!
So I mean, he's very well respected, and
I'm certainly grateful for his support.
Indeed, he's a thoughtful person. Ginny and Absecon, good morning. You're on with Don Guardian.
Good morning. I really, really echo everything that AC has said. You know, you've got to vote for the person, not for the party. And I always support the person whose moral compass is straight and who's going to do the right thing. And even though I don't live in Atlantic City, I have met Don Guardian. I have seen what he's done. And, you know, Atlantic City is the economic engine of this area. And if Atlantic City goes down, the whole ship goes down with it. And I think his opponent, 12 years or so, is it? I think that's enough. And I think that Mr. Guardian is a top shelf candidate. I also want to mention something, Mr. Guardian and Barbara, regarding the taxes in Atlantic City. I have many friends that live there, and they're very, very dismayed regarding the 22-23% tax hike. And their taxes are going to go up even higher with the casinos winning their appeals. So, you know, the taxpayers are going to take it in the neck. And I'd like Don Guardian to explain. I understand this because I did have a rental property in Atlantic City at one time. Just because you rent in Atlantic City, Mr. Guardian, doesn't mean that your rent is not going to go up, because Atlantic City has rent control. And one of the very, very few ways that a landlord can apply to raise rent is, guess what? When the taxes go up. So I'd like you to explain how that works, because people have to be educated and people have to know. But you have done such a tremendous job in the city, cleaning everything up. Everything you touch seems to turn to gold, and it's cleaned up and it's spiffed up. And I really, really see the pride, sir, that you take in Atlantic City.
Ginny, thank you very much. You make excellent points. Just in the 5 years alone, my opponent has raised the budget by $50 million. It just huge numbers. And there was a report done by the Chamber of Commerce. It was 10 years ago. It was 2003, Mitchell Titus. My opponent says he followed it, and he's proud that he removed 100 police officers because of that report. But that's not what the report said. There are 15 items that they said we could save $25 million a year without affecting services. What it said about the police department, it said that 45 uniformed officers were performing non-police duties, like payroll and like accounting, and they suggested that you hire civilians to do those. Not lay off, not reduce the force by 100 people. So 12 years ago, the city was pretty safe, and today we are the sixth most crime-ridden city in the United States. So that was terrible. So yes, the point is, so the $50 million, it's not just that. That same report, it said 10 years ago, Barbara, it said that the Casino Association had met with each of the casinos, and they had agreed not to appeal their taxes if they could negotiate a more fair way of evaluating their property. We didn't do that. In the last 3 years, my opponent has borrowed $145 million. That's through bonds, which Atlantic City taxpayers are going to pay for the next 20 years. It's 15%. Or they're going to move out if they can. It represents 15% of the budget. And then if you didn't hear Chris Brown, he was very eloquent in explaining that both Borgata and Tropicana begged to negotiate a fair deal 2 years ago. My opponent refused that negotiation, and they went to court and they won, and now it's another $100 million. So sometime after the election, he has to borrow another $100 million. If you add the 100 to the 145 and about 60 before he got into office, you only have about $500 million of bonding. So if we just stay the way we are, if you really want to stay takeover, you really need to keep him in office, because we're going to be bankrupt in 3 years.
And what we'll do right this very minute, as soon as Scott can push that button there, we'll hear a message from Amadeo and Brown for Assembly, and then we'll go right to Mike in Atlantic City. And there's another Mike in another area, and whoever else is on the phone there, Scott will let us know.
Vince Mazzio and Nick Russo have a lot in common. They both love higher taxes. Russo is against the property tax rebate program, one of the last sources of direct tax relief we have. Mazzio says he would raise the income tax or sales tax or both. When you look at their positions, two facts are clear. One, Mazzio and Russo will raise your taxes. Two, their tax hikes would stall the economic recovery and cost jobs. Luckily, we have Assemblyman John Amadeo and Chris Brown working to cut taxes. Amadeo and Brown voted for business tax cuts that create jobs. They fought and blocked 3 attempts to hike the income tax. Now, they're currently sponsoring a property tax reduction plan that would save homeowners nearly $800 a year. Tuesday, November 5th, vote for proven tax cutters, Assemblyman John Amadeo and Chris Brown.
Paid for by Amadeo for Assembly and friends of Chris Brown.
Receive a word from them. Good morning, back. Welcome back. We will tell you about that. Let's go to Mike in Atlantic City. Good morning. You're on with Don Guardian, candidate for mayor of the city of Atlantic City. Good. Okay.
With those last two callers, Don, you're doing a great job with the improvement. I'm going to just give you 3 questions, and I'm going to hang up, if that's okay.
Of course.
The first question is, how many cars do we have in Atlantic City? Does anybody have anybody find that out? Second question
city
is
cars.
the city cars, right? Now, the second question is the residential, the homes in Atlantic City, single-family, duplexes, high-rises. What is the percentage of homes that are owned by individual people, and what the percentage of homes or apartments or condos are either HUD or federal government or, does anybody have that number? And third, the question I have is, how in God's name could Borgata overpay $58 million? Where that's $500 million since their doors have been open. This city is so corrupt. That is the problem with Atlantic City. It's corrupt. Everybody in the hall, everybody with every program, it's a corrupt town. And we all know it, but we won't face it. Thank you, Don. God bless you. And thanks, Don.
Okay.
Thank you for your call. Thank you. You can hang up and listen.
The three questions, the cars. I had Oprah that information. There are 550 total vehicles that the city owned. 550. I know we're only 4 miles, etc. Some of that includes police cars and fire trucks,
right,
and the cleaning equipment and the way we rake our beach. But there are several hundred vehicles, and you've heard me say this before, Barbara. There's no way that and all you have to do is wait till 5 o'clock at night, and you can see the number of city-owned vehicles that leave the city because we have managers that are actually taking them home. So that has to stop. You know that I've already told you that it's not just symbolic, it's also my part of helping to cut the budget. I'm not going to take a car. Directors aren't going to have cars. All the people that don't use the cars, at least 50% of the day, are not going to have vehicles. But I'm certainly going to have cars for the policemen. I'm certainly going to have cars for code enforcement and mercantile. But we're going to cut a lot of cars out, probably around 70 altogether, and then take 20 of those 70, put them in a carpool, and you call in the car when you need it for that day. But you're walking your bicycle and you take the jitney. Homes that are owned privately, 30%. So 70% are not owned. It's just the opposite of the typical city or town in New Jersey. In most locations in New Jersey, 70% of the homes are privately owned, condos, residents, townhouses, etc. But here it's the opposite. However, the 5,000 homes there are 5,000 homeowners that actually have a residence in Atlantic City. And those are the people I'm trying to reach, saying, you live here, you got a reason to live here, you love the city, I want you to love the city more. And part of that is going to be able to reduce your taxes. And then the corruption part of this. So, everyone's innocent till proven guilty. But I have a sneaking suspicion that I will be keeping our city prosecutor and county prosecutor very, very busy. Because as we root out corruption, they're not just going to get fired. They're going to be taken to court. We're going to use the law to our favor. We're going to lock them up if we can, and we're going to take away their pensions. But there's not a lot of people there that fall into this category of taking bribes and operating corruptly. But we've got to find them, and we've got to take action against them.
Is that kind of a threatening thing to people listening? I mean,
it may be.
Right.
Basically, if you're breaking the law, if you're cheating and stealing, then absolutely, you should take it.
Right.
But it's not a threat. It's just saying, November 5, I hope to become your next mayor. You got 60 days to reform your ways.
You're not going to get their vote. You realize this.
Yes, I do. Right. Reform your ways. You got 60 days, and as long as you're working, I want to pay you well. Barbara, I have a full union workforce, and I've said this over and over again, is my opponent is trying to scare city workers, saying I'm going to lay them off and fire them and privatize, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And in 20 years at the Special Improvement District, I've never laid anyone off.
Right.
That's my record, and I wouldn't do it there. He's laid off 60 cops and 30 firemen, and as a matter of fact, he's going to wait right after Election Day, conveniently, to lay off 51 firemen unless someone comes to our aid and finds the funding there. So no layoffs for our people, but the Borgata and Tropicana, again, 2 years ago they said, let's negotiate. And I know that Assemblyman Brown and Amadeo were there saying, that's the right thing to do, but the mayor didn't want to do that. He thought he was going to win in court. The city had a $950,000 contract with this law firm to defend them. And as you see, we've lost $48 million with Borgata and $50 million. And even knowing this 2 years ago, you could have planned, but no planning.
We'll go to Gary first in Pleasantville, and then we will go to Joe in AC, then Mike in AC, right after we hear the Whalen for Senate message.
Paid for by EFO Whalen Mazio Russo, P.O. Box 362, Northfield, New Jersey, 08225.
In Atlantic County, the choices for reform are Vince Mazzio and Nick Russo. A volunteer firefighter and former police officer, Nick Russo has always been committed to protecting the public. As the mayor of Longport, Russo was praised for keeping taxes low and helping the town recover from Hurricane Sandy. No wonder Russo was reelected by Republicans and Democrats with 93% of the vote. Vince Mazzio is a small businessman who runs BF Mazzio. As the mayor of Northfield, Mazzio used his business experience to cut costs and make government more efficient by pooling services with neighboring towns. And Mazzio has led the fight to preserve open space in Northfield. Now Russo and Mazzio are running for state assembly to stand up for middle-class families and reduce property taxes for seniors. Vince Mazzio, Nick Russo, the independent reform team.
Yes, indeed. We are back with our candidate here, Don Guardian, candidate for mayor of Atlantic City, and he's taking your calls, so we'll go right back to the calls. And as I said, Gary in Pleasantville, you will be up first. You waited the longest. It's done by the honor system up here on the computer. Good morning, Gary in Pleasantville. You're on with the candidate for mayor, Don Guardian.
Good morning, Barbara and Mr. Guardian. I would start off by saying it's a shame that I cannot vote for Mr. Guardian because I don't live in Atlantic City. I certainly would. He always has good ideas to revitalize Atlantic City, to wake it up, and I really enjoy listening to his always progressive speeches that he makes and talks of Atlantic City. When I say progressive, I don't mean in a political term. I mean just the way that it sounds. He always has ideas to push it forward.
It's amazing.
Help save money, to help the people, and I really, really hope that he does win the election, because he is, without a doubt, the best man for the job. And just to listen to his ideas versus the no ideas that Mr. Langford has, he is the man. So, Mr. Guardian.
Gary, thank you very much. Keep me in your prayers.
I certainly will.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary. And I guess anyone who is listening, as Gary expressed himself, if you have friends and family who are able to vote, then you will tell them which way you feel, then people will make their decision based on what they're hearing and what they see. Good morning, Joe in Atlantic City. You are on with Don Guardian.
Good morning, Barbara. Good morning, Mayor. Don.
Hey, Joe. Good morning.
Look, I'm a taxpayer. I lived in the city. I've worked in the city. And my observations, and you probably know some of them, when you walk around the city, it's mentally exhausting when you see broken sidewalks for years that have never been repaired, never addressed. When my property came up, they were the first ones on my door, code enforcement, to say I needed to replace my sidewalks. But everybody else got the free pass because I guess, it is what it is. But we have to look in the future. And unfortunately, our council people, they're very small-minded when it comes to thinking outside the box. Atlantic City is much larger than what they could comprehend. And Atlantic City has always been notorious for reinventing itself in bad times to make it good again. And I see that they're doing it. CRDA, I commend. The Improvement District has made this town for years. And I know they didn't like the fact that the hard work that went in was done. But there's a lot of things I could tell you, Don, you're probably going to have when you're elected and sworn in on January 1. You'll probably have more friends than you'll know what to do with. And then,
go ahead, Joe.
it's just, I think you're the man of the time. You're a visionary. You made a lot of things happen. We have to look ahead and make the city better for people to come here, want to live here, and not get taxed out of their homes because of all the nonsense going on. So I really appreciate all your hard work. You have my family support, and it's not because I know you, but I do know you. You're a good-hearted person. You truly care about the city. And what's happened here in the past, it's that small-mindedness that has to be eliminated from this because
Joe, thank you very much for your call and your support. Don is nodding his head in appreciation here.
Appreciate that. And
next time,
vote.
And next time we talk, we'll check in about how your Siberian Husky is doing, but not today.
Very good.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You have a good day too. Let's go back to the phone line and back to Mike in Atlantic City. Good morning.
Good morning, folks. How are you? Great show today. Just like to weigh in a little bit with the election coming up. Gentlemen, a few callers ago just stole a little bit of my thunder. That's
all right. You can thunder again.
With the cars and whatnot. And of course, just as usual, Don hit it right on the nose, with the cars and the council people and get these people who are our elected officials to get a feel, a vibe. Just because they grew up 20, 30 years ago in the city doesn't mean they can't be out there with the people, walking with the people, talking with the people, as Don does. I mean, I've met Don probably 2, maybe 3 years ago, riding a bike, and I actually saw the man get off his bike to pick up some trash, and then through the last couple of years of being involved in some things throughout the city, with some the LEAD Act and whatnot, and going to meetings, and just is the right man for the job, just as the last caller said. Also, just like to say, got a tremendous team of folks, campaign team, white, black, Hispanic, Asian. It's such a neat thing to see. And it's refreshing. And as Barbara just said a few callers ago, whether we have folks that we work, people who work in the city, who have family in the city, they don't have to necessarily be in the city. Atlantic City, what happens here goes throughout the state, let alone Atlantic County. So we just got to let the people know and educate them, if you know anybody that lives in the city, that this is definitely the right man for the job. He's not a lifelong politician, not in it for the money, generally cares about to see the man around, and look what he's done. Talk to his employers. Talk to his people who work for him on the boardwalk, in the city. See what they say. That's what I did. And I did it the other way, too. And this man doesn't... Everything that happens bad to the city is not the past regime, although a lot has to do it because that's the one that's there. That's who's there. That's the way we do things. But keeps a clean campaign. Let's move to the future. And, hey, folks, just take a look outside. Look around. If you're happy with what you see, well, then status quo. If not, let's do something November 5th. God bless, folks, and thank you for the show.
Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you for being there. And there's a lot of enthusiasm that we hear, not only here on the radio as people are calling in, Don, but as we're out and about, too.
That's great.
That they're excited.
We need to turn that into votes.
And they say, look at what has happened here on the boardwalk, and can we have this in our neighborhoods? Can we feel safe everywhere else?
Everyone has to be treated equally, Bob. Right. Every neighborhood. That's why I'm running for mayor. But I really do need to get everyone to get out to vote on November 5th. This afternoon, 3 o'clock at our campaign headquarters, the Latino Leaders Alliance from North Jersey is going to be endorsing me. And it's the first time they've ever endorsed anyone in Atlantic City. And, again, very, very proud and humbled that they would do that. But they're very concerned. Latinos now represent 32% of our community, and they're looking for someone that's going to reach out and keep them as part of the community.
They did send me a notice yesterday, and I was going to bring that up, and I'm glad that you just mentioned that. Before we go to May in Atlantic City, we have one more commercial responsibility, and it's a wonderful Friends of Ballas for Senate.
Atlantic County is at a crossroads, and we need new leadership in Trenton. Frank Ballas will bring a fresh voice and new ideas for our region.
This is Frank Ballas, and I'm running for state senate. Jim Whalen has been spending a lot of money distorting my record. Here are the facts. As your sheriff, I can't raise your taxes. But as our senator, Jim Whalen has raised your taxes over and over again. He even wants to tax your grocery bags and every mile you drive. Whalen has been a poor leader in the Senate. Don't take my word for it. Former Senator Bill Gormley has called Whalen a coward, saying he's failed this region miserably. Whalen has been in politics for 30 years. I've spent my career in law enforcement, protecting our neighborhoods. I've listened to you, and I know what it takes to make Atlantic County strong again. Together, we can do this. Vote for new leadership November 5th.
Frank Ballas for Senate.
Paid for by Atlantic County Republican Committee, P.O. Box 484, Linwood, New Jersey, 08221.
All right, we want to take a look at what your busy schedule is all about, too. I mean, this afternoon you're meeting with
Latino
right.
Alliance. We have a meet and greet at Tun Tavern at 5:30, and then we'll be at a debate with the Chelsea Neighborhood Association at Sovereign Avenue School at 7:30 tonight.
Are we anyone broadcasting that? Is that going to be?
I don't know, Barbara.
Okay.
Not sure. And then on Tuesday, we have our final debate sponsored by the NAACP and the West Side Civic Association at Dr. Martin Luther King.
And
School.
is that being?
And I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'm not sure the answer
if
for
I
either.
can write those dates down, or do I have that in this schedule that was sent to me? No, maybe I do not.
But you can certainly go on donforac.com.
Very good. Okay.
Certainly friend me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, or just simply call the campaign office at 318-4940. That's 609.
I know I have it here, but
4940.
And I'll remind everyone of that too as we move on, and we'll take May's call in Atlantic City. We don't want to miss anyone here for Don Guardian this morning. This is your chance to ask him a question, to make a comment about something that you may find that you want to know what he has to say, what his opinion is. Good morning, May.
Good morning, Barbara, and thank you very much for taking my call, because I want to say, as a campaign worker for Don, who has seen many people come in and out of the campaign office and take signs and literature, I am very happy to hear all the people express such a positive attitude about Don. And trust me, Don is the man. I have met Don. I've talked to him, and he is the man. And also his group, Sharon Zappia, Mandy Love, and Daryl Bothius as councilman. I really do appreciate your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, May, and thanks for all your help as a volunteer, and thanks for including my council candidates.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you. And before we go to Steve, I'll just remind everyone that today the Chelsea Neighborhood Association, as Don pointed out, the debate is at 111 North Sovereign Avenue in Atlantic City. It's free, 7:30 to 9. And you may contact Don Guardian from Mayor Campaign Office at 318-4940 or Don at Don4AC. And that's the number 4 or 4. Spell it out any way you want. It'll get there. And that's open to the public. On Friday, the Atlantic City Republican County Committee 5th Annual Halloween Dinner Dance Fundraiser honoring mayoral candidate Mr. Don Guardian. And you can reach out to Mark Padula, Municipal Chair at Highland Terrace at AOL.com. No phone number included here, and it's a wonderful event. Yes, it is. And then the next is the NAACP West Side Civic Association Venice Park mayoral debate on the 29th. I did say the 29th at the Dr. Martin Luther King School Junior School Complex, 1700 Marmora Avenue in Atlantic City, 6 to 8 p.m. That's open to the public. And again, you may reach out to the candidate, Don Guardian, 318-4940, and 6 to 8 p.m. I hope that will be broadcast. It's so wonderful to listen to them on the radio, and you know everyone has a chance to listen in. And on the 31st, Don Guardian will be back with us here on the front porch. And that's from 11 to 12. So, and Tuesday, the 5th is Election Day. Let's go to Steve in Atlantic City for Don Guardian. I took more of the time than I need, but I wanted to give you that schedule and the rundown, and I'll have this handy if anybody has a question.
Good morning, Mr. Guardian. First, I'd like to wish you luck in the election this November, and I hope you win. When you become mayor of Atlantic City, I have one suggestion, that you have a meeting with the CEOs from these casinos and ask them straight out, what's the plan? Where do you guys want to be at the end of my term, which would be like a 4-year term? And literally ask them, where do you want to be? We'll just say president of Tropicana, CEO of Tropicana. Where do you want to be? Tell me. And what are you doing to make that happen? That's what the suggestion that I have.
Steve, that's a great suggestion. I have to tell you, that certainly bringing together the chief operating officers of each of the gaming properties is going to be very high on my list. Just for that I'm going to make sure they understand that we're going to be cutting taxes that are going to be helping them. I want to know how they're going to be helping us with new jobs and with a commitment to increase the workforce that are Atlantic City residents by 1% every year in every casino. That's how we're going to find good-paying jobs for our staff. And I'm going to ask them, if they don't want to do that, what type of job training do we need to do with our residents to get them those jobs? And then I really want each of the gaming properties to adopt one of our parks and playgrounds, take special interest in that, as well as adopting one of our schools, because we need them to help mentor. The mother and the teacher should not be the only ones raising our child. It takes the city to raise a child, and casino workers are part of our city, and we all need to work together. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. So, you continue on. What time do you start your day in the morning now?
Well, you know what happens? It's a little too cold to bicycle right now, so I either bicycle later on. I miss everybody, and no one notices me on the boardwalk.
There were only 3 people out there yesterday.
Yeah, it was 40 degrees. I know, it's a little cold. So I get to sleep in a little bit. So I usually don't start my day till 7 now, and I ended about 11 o'clock.
Well, 7 o'clock, the sun it wasn't up over the horizon this morning, but I was out there.
Yeah.
I was on foot. I'll bike when it's a little warmer too. I agree with you. That cuts right through you.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's long days, 7 days a week. We only have 12 days left, so I don't want to have lost this rate by 5 votes because I didn't get out. I didn't talk to people. You'll see me this weekend walking the streets for for homes that I have not visited yet, and I'll be doing that all next week as well. And we have a couple of hundred volunteers this weekend, just like we had last weekend, knocking on doors, dropping off literature, talking to people.
Right. Let me just ask you, while we have about 4 minutes left here, what stands out the most since we've met here on the radio and since you've been out on the campaign trail? Is there any particular situation that you've encountered that just stays with you, a family situation, maybe someone who has not...
the deplorable conditions back on streets like Texas, Arizona, Nevada. We just visited them after the storm last weekend, and they were flooded. They had 18 inches, and actually one of the mothers took me out to the street. She didn't speak English. She took me to the street, and she walked me down to Fairmont, and she pointed to the sewer, which was filled with trash. Oh. And, when you don't clean your streets, the only way the streets get clean is when it blows into the sewer or washes down into the sewer. So here are people that 1 year after, Sandy are still living with flooding. So I think that was the most moving in the last week that I saw, and so simple to solve their problems. So I look forward to it. It's going to be an exciting challenge for me, and I'm going to be very excited to be working with the residents and city employees, making this all a better place. Barbara, always wonderful to be with you on the front porch.
I think you started right out here, and you looked a little different. Now you're filled with this youthful exuberance. Now this is energy. It's as though you've been storing it up and bottling it, eating right, getting out there, meeting the people. and you really you are full of energy. That's all I can say. I'll
Thank
put
you.
it that way.
That's great.
And we remind everyone, David Spatz
Spatz
is
is
coming
next,
up.
and
He's
Bob
standing
Burns
right
in your
there,
afternoon,
and
followed by Pinky, and then, of course, we want to get NBC News at 6, and then the Boston Connection,
and
then
Matt
World at the end of the day.
Tomorrow morning, Don Williams will
Don
start
Williams
your day
in
as
the
only
morning,
Don
all
Williams.
on News Talk 1400
Right
WOND.
after, and I'll be back.
And Bob will be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And she looks forward to joining you on her front porch.
Thank you very much, Don Guardian. I don't know. If
Scott, thanks a million for everything you do.
He may want to move right in here. That'll be fine.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us this morning. And remember, pay attention, listen, and then remember to vote, because everybody, you have the right to vote, and you've earned the right to vote. Make sure you exercise your right to vote. Don't just talk about it, do it. And we'll see you tomorrow. God bless. Remember to breathe.